Hi everyone, Kate Sargent here with Career Hacks and Snacks. I've got the lovely Kim Rohrer here, who is a experienced people leader, awesome human, and fellow Bay Area native. And I'm super excited to chat with her today. This was our third take, by the way, trying to get this correct.
Hello. I have been doing people and HR work mostly in tech companies for the last 15 years. My background growing up is in theater. I went and did the theater to tech
Sure.
journey. And right now I'm doing a combination of consulting and fractional work, doing a lot of writing, doing a lot of culture and values work for companies, which is really fun and exciting. Finding my way post in-house life. I'm from LA originally, but I've been in Berkeley now for, gosh, almost 20 years. So I feel very much like Bay Area. I've been in the Bay almost as long as I was in LA. So this feels very
So
much
you're a
like home.
NorCal,
Um,
SoCal combo.
yeah, nobody can ever see it because it's like hidden on the wall behind my computer, but I have all this like California iconography and stuff that I keep
I
near me
love
at all
it.
times. Yeah, I have two kids in elementary school.
Do we have kids the same age? How old are you?
They are 8 and 4.
Okay, I've got 8 and 6. So
Okay,
yeah.
so yeah,
Are they
eight.
as sassy as mine?
That's
I feel like eight
yeah.
and six is a sassy, sassy time. Mine are girls.
Yes, my 8-year-old daughter is a love, but she turns it on. She turns on the sass. But right now, she's in a very deep musical theater phase, and I grew up in musical theater, and so right
My
now she
daughter's
thinks
a
I'm the coolest
singer. We should
person
get them
on the planet. We need to
together.
get together.
We
They
should
can get
get our
together
kids
and like
together.
wicked sing along party. So like right now, she thinks I'm the coolest person ever because I can answer all of her musical theater questions. My 4-year-old son, his new phrase is no, 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 and no. Yeah,
I feel like
no,
that's a good
no, no,
segue
and
into our
no.
topic. That might be a good. I'm always looking for
It
the weird
totally is.
connection pieces. That's a good
It totally is.
segue
I love it. Oh my gosh, I love
into
it.
our topic. Okay, well, so let's talk
Yes.
about our topic, right? When you're out
Yes.
in the sort of consulting space, when you're looking for new projects, new work, there is
Yeah.
a tendency to say yes to far too many things. This is
Yes.
my biggest problem. So tell me a little bit about your experience with making that transition from being in-house, where it's
Yeah.
pretty prescriptive, to kind of having to create your own boundaries and set your own boundaries and figure out what you can
Yeah.
do out there.
This is a problem that has plagued me my entire life, my entire career. I've learned later in life now that it's a combination of ADHD and being an Enneagram 2. And I'm a helper. I want to say yes so that I can help people. And also, I'm genuinely interested in lots of different things. And so, my entire life, I have taken on too much because I genuinely want to. And that translated into my career, really struggling with boundaries as a people leader who you're asked to do more than you should most of the time. And you're seen as like mean or uncooperative if you don't say yes to everything. And I didn't learn that for a long time. And that led to my own burnout, that led to my team's burnout, that led to us taking on so much that we couldn't actually complete any of the projects. We just had constantly like 10 projects open and going. My last in-house job at Oyster, which I had started out fractional, and then they brought me in-house for about a year and a half. I learned so much from my teammates there, who some of them were very good at setting boundaries because they had a more project management oriented mindset. You want
Mhm.
me to estimate how long something's going to take
Yeah.
accurately? Like, have
Yes.
you heard of time blindness? Can't do that. So working with people who could supplement my skills with their skills and we could balance each other out was the first step to me learning about how to set real boundaries at work and having a boss who reinforced that with us, who was like, I don't expect you to be able to do all of these things. And so he was more able and more confident in pushing back on things than I was, even after 15 years of doing this.
Yeah.
I still like wanted to people please, and you have to really learn to let go of the people pleasing. And it took me several months of doing it to get there, and now I feel like I'm in a much better place, so that when I am taking on client work, or even before I've taken it on, when I'm exploring client work, I have a much better sense of what I will be good at and what I will enjoy and what I want to do, and balancing that with the need to make money. I feel so much more comfortable and confident in holding that firm boundary with a client.
But I think also, like, when you're in the consulting and for yourself, working for yourself, solopreneur space, there's a fear, right? Like
Yeah.
the yes becomes a fear too, of like, well,
Yes.
what if it dries up, right? It's a scarcity mindset.
Right.
Like, what if it dries up
Absolutely.
tomorrow and I don't have any more work? I need to say yes to everything. Or what if people perceive me, we can talk about a gender piece of this as well,
Oh, of
where
course.
I don't want to be perceived as unhelpful. My natural tendency is to help more, give more, do
Yes.
more, because like I believe in that so deeply. But I think
Yeah.
there's also a choice there that sometimes it feels like it's not a choice. And
Yeah.
those are the things that I get nervous about saying no to, where it's like I always want to choose to give in the spaces
Yeah.
I would like to give. And to your point, the things that
I
you
mean,
enjoy, right?
in a perfect world, I would have some sort of generational wealth or benefactor or something covering all of my cost of living so I could just give and help as much as I wanted with no thought towards whether or not it was going to sustain my family's livelihood.
Right.
I do have to balance. Sometimes I take on work that is maybe not in my zone of genius or is maybe not what I would like to be doing, but it's a paycheck and I need a paycheck. I've talked to a bunch of career coaches over the years, and whenever I get the advice that's like, don't compromise before you need to, like
No,
take the time to only pour your energy into the things that fulfill
follow your
you and blah blah
dream.
blah. And it's like, yes, I love that energy, and also in the meantime, how do I make money? Honestly, that's a struggle I'm dealing with right now. I had some client work that I was doing in 2024 has ended, and going into the new year, I've really been revisiting for myself, is the fractional life the one that I want, or do I want to go back in house where I'll have that steady income and I don't have to worry about that element of it? And for me, when it comes down to every time, it's just the company and the role and the team and what I'm doing and who I'm doing it with. And it doesn't matter if
Circumstantial though. I
that's,
mean,
yeah,
right?
it
Financial
doesn't
is
matter if
the
it's
is the piece
in-house
too.
or,
Mhm.
yeah, it's like if it, whether it's in-house or fractional, if I'm doing good work with good people, then I'm happy.
Yeah, and I feel like there's a feeling out there like you have to just do one or the other too. Do you
Yeah.
feel like people try to like pigeonhole you
Oh,
into,
yeah.
are you a consultant? Are you going to go in-house? And I hear all the time in career coaching
Yeah.
people saying, "Oh, this consulting thing on my LinkedIn profile is going to scare recruiters away. Like they're not going
Yeah.
to hire me for in-house roles." And I'm like, "Well, that's ridiculous. This
Then
just
you're not telling your story well.
you're not tell oh, I did not cue that up, but I was literally about to say exactly that. So that was amazing. But like that's it. You're just not telling the story right of like how you're consulting and how you're utilizing this as part of your
Yeah.
overarching career story. It's not, it's a piece of it. It's not
Right.
the whole. The whole story doesn't exist on LinkedIn regardless, but like we need to
No.
give as much as we can. I mean, when I came out on the market this last year, I was not prepared. Like I did not know I was going to lose my job as soon as I did. I thought I had about a
Right.
6 month runway and we kind of ran out of money, so that sucked. But here we were. And so here I go into this unknown, and I was like, I tried every path. I was like interviewing
Yeah.
for a head of people role in the city, and I was talking to people in New York and down in Southern California for these in-house roles. In the meantime, building my coaching practice up part-time, and then
Right.
full time and then fractional, and it kind of was okay. Well, that journey told me
Yeah.
where to go,
Yeah.
regardless
Yeah.
of whether I was
And
listening,
you
like,
don't know until
oh,
you start talking to
right.
different companies. And sometimes it's not until you apply for a bunch of different things that you realize that you're applying for all the wrong stuff. That's not actually what you want or are
Yeah.
qualified for. And I just think I'm very much a believer in the yes and. I grew up in improv, like yes and to everything.
Hmm.
This topic that we plan on focusing on today around like too much and too little all at the same time, I think it's a challenge of focus for me, and it's an opportunity of like making so much impact in so many different ways. When they talk about like what's a story that like defines who you are, like when I was in high school and I was applying for colleges, the high school career counselor person, guidance counselor, she said, don't use the newfangled online form to apply for college. This was a brand new thing, was online applications. She said, use the paper version because the online version has a character limit, and the paper version, you can just write smaller and you can fit all your extracurricular activities on the paper, and you won't be able to fit them all in the online form. I was like, looking back on it now, I'm like, that sets the path for my entire life. I wonder if I could like find her and be like, just so you know, that conversation has impacted my entire life. Because for me, it's always been about how can I squeeze more into a small space? How can I do all the things I want to do and still like fit within the bounds of what is necessary? How
Love
can I
it.
take on one more project? How can I like do all the things that I want to do and still, be a human?
Oh, I mean, okay. Well, first of all, I feel like I need to unpack that emotionally. It's like 7 more years in
I
therapy.
know, right?
But I mean, something about the image of like a big person in a small box, like just came into my
Hmm.
too of like, I have this uncontrollable enthusiasm, as someone pointed out on my LinkedIn profile
Hmm.
yesterday. Everywhere I go, I feel like I'm too much, right? Like
And
I'm
people tell you that you're too much, that you have to tone it
and
down
I tone
or
it
like
down, too much of
be
this,
more
too much of that.
professional.
Yeah, and I'm old enough now and I'm successful enough now that I can just be like, F all of you. I've gotten to like F you stage of my life where it's like,
Hmm.
it served me well in my life and career in
Right,
spite of all of you telling me to do the thing that like I
right.
really never wanted to do, which was like make
Hmm.
myself
Put
smaller,
yourself in a box.
get smaller, be quieter, etc. And it's like, I'm kind of done living in that space right now. But I do think
Yeah.
that there's an interesting piece of of that in this journey of like trying to work for yourself too, because as a human, I just expand. You know what I mean? Like I will take
Yes.
all of it, I'll soak it up, I'll take all the emotions, I'll take all of it. And there is a need in some ways to learn how to contract too, which I'm trying
Hmm.
to figure out. Like there's some happy medium in between being
Yeah.
biggest self and being your contracted self in certain circumstances. Because, like,
Yeah.
when you accept everything and you write everything in that box, it's too
Yeah.
much and people don't understand it sometimes too, right? So
Yeah. It's
I'm
about
really good
focus.
about distilling and focus. Yeah.
Y-
And I, lack focus too. I have like 7 different arms of my business right now and trying to
Yes. Well,
figure out
this
how to do
that's
more.
it's funny that you mentioned that because one of my like New Year's projects for myself is a shifting in my website. I launched my consulting practice officially, like relaunched it about a year ago. I had been doing consulting with this like janky Google site that I spun up that was like, I do everything, HR and people ops, hire me. And I
I'm the
got
best. I do it. I'm
I'm
a
the best.
generalist.
I
I
did
do
all
all
the
the
stuff.
general things in HR.
That's right. And I got one very large client off of that turned into this
Great,
full-time role.
though.
And so
Great.
then I didn't touch my website because I was like, it
Right.
got me the
Well,
job. Now I have the job. But then when I got laid off last year, I was like, I need to reinvent this because this is not how I want to represent myself now. I was like, I need to like refine. I know more about myself and how I like to work now. I've learned so much from my coworkers at this previous job. Like I have so much more knowledge about myself. I'm going to like refine. So I refined. And now a year later, I'm realizing that I still hadn't refined enough because there are pages on my website full of services that I don't actually want to offer. And
that's self-awareness, friend. Good job.
yeah, I should earn enough money doing the other stuff that I can afford to do pay what you can pricing to mentor junior people, right? Just as an example. And the other thing is I realized I love doing content. I love writing, but I also realized I like business writing. And I started doing some freelance work for different companies. I was like, this isn't really well represented on my website. And I started doing design work for people in our
Love
fractional
that.
community, like people who are like, I need a flyer that I can, like a PDF flyer I can send around to people. And I have no eye for design. I'm like, I can take your word
I am
salad
those
and make it into
people.
something pretty.
I am
Like,
those people. I am the people who have
great.
none of that. Lots of
Like,
opinions,
and
but
that's
no actual style. Hmm.
well, see, this is like, I didn't, these are the things that I think it takes experimentation to realize the things you are good at might be specialties that other people don't have. I think I always assumed that because certain things came easy to me, that they came easy to everyone. And it wasn't until the last couple of years that I realized, oh, these things that are easy and fun and that I love doing and that light me up, those are services that other people
Yes.
might pay money for because they don't have those skills. In the same way that, like, if I had the money, I would hire a project manager and executive assistant in a heartbeat because I hate doing project management and I'm not good at it. And I would love to pay someone who loves it and is good at it to do that work. Here's my little rant for a second is that we don't value creative work in the same way that we value quote unquote productive work.
Yes.
We don't value design in the same way we value project management. We don't value big picture thinking and dot connecting and like ideation in the same way that we value
Hmm.
task execution. And so the people who are more task execution oriented, those are the skills that we reward and recognize. And if you don't have those skills naturally, you feel like you have to get better at them so that you can achieve in the way that corporations want you to achieve. And the thing I like about having my own practice is that I can be really explicit about not being that and
Yeah.
saying, you might not have someone on your team who has these skills that I have. And you might not need someone full time, but you probably do need someone to come in and look at the landscape of your HR practice and see around the corners and see what you're missing. I might not be the right person to like
Execute
execute
that when we figure
to
out
the
what it is.
project plan, but
Right.
like I can help you create the plan and keep you accountable strategically while someone else is like managing the Asana board.
I just feel like you are me. And I'm like, really, like, you ever have those conversations where you're like, everything that just came out of your mouth feels like it would have come out of
Yes.
my mouth? It's the same type of thing. And I think what I've learned to do is to package it together, like figure
Mm-hmm.
out how to package that project management together with that. And it's funny, you're like, and I would just hire someone to do that project management for me. That's what I
Yeah.
did in my business. I was like, oh, I'm terrible at this. Like, I can run an
Uh-huh.
project all day, but like project managing my own business, no
That's
idea what I'm
hard.
doing. And I just say
This
yes.
is why I don't like business development. And I was like, oh, it's
And
a
I love
combination of
business
sales and project
development.
management.
And
Oh,
I love
I can
business. I just
remember.
want to, but I just want to talk to people. I don't want to manage it. Like, I don't want to manage
Yeah.
the process of it. I
I
just
want to
want to
have the
do
first
it. I
conversation
want to
and
do
then
the
let someone else do
conversation
the
and the
follow up.
work. I realized that like I wanted to do writing, like my degree's in English, right? I was headed in that direction. I was going to
Hmm.
write the Great American Novel at one point after I went to law
Yeah.
school, neither of which I did. For me, what I discovered about writing is I don't want to monetize my writing because I can't.
Hmm.
I get stressed about it if there's a like a priority there attached to it.
Yeah.
But I could sit in front of a computer, and I joke about this all the time, and write on LinkedIn, whether anyone wants to hear it or not. On the
Yes.
flip side of that, like I love building out the coaching pipeline and those type of things. So
Hmm.
people assume HR people are all this one bucket. And it's like
Yeah.
HR is a nuanced department like
Hmm.
every other department, right? But like,
And everyone is different, even within the
everyone has a
same
different
skill set.
thing.
That's what I find so fascinating about being in community with literally hundreds of fractional HR leaders. Sometimes I just like browse around and click and look at everyone's different websites.
Yeah,
And I
right.
love seeing how different everyone is. And I like to look through and see different people's websites and see like, how are we the same? How are we different? How do we position ourselves? And learning about how other people, like what their vibe is or what
Mhm.
their like personality is, their HR like persona or whatever, it allows me to think when I like if I have a conversation with someone and I realize like I'm not going to be the right person for you, I have a whole network of people who have different approaches to the same problem. Like knowing how other people approach their specialties makes us a stronger community because we're all different. We like I definitely am more for the people who are into occasional like intuition and vibes based conversations and less
I
like show me
love
the
that
data.
about you though.
Like
Like you are so cool. Like I think you are so cool because of
oh,
that. I mean, I just want to like
thanks.
lean into that so much. Like I desperately want to lean into that. I want more of that in my
It's
life.
always
I
worth
should come chat with
exploring.
you. Because don't you do
Yeah,
like HR tarot readings? Because like I
I
want to,
do.
is it like HR related? Is it career related? Like how do they work? Tell
It
me more about that.
depends. It depends on who I'm talking to and what they need. Sometimes I have had a couple sessions where it's like super HR related. Like I have to do this thing. I'm not gonna reveal anything. Like I have to do this thing at work that's HR related and I don't know how I feel about it and I don't know how to approach it. And like I need some guidance on like how to think about this problem. And then we look at the cards and we like pull some cards and see. And because I have HR experience, I can apply the reading to the specific context of their HR problem. It's not like the cards say, yes, you should go ahead and fire that person. It's more like,
I
the
hope not.
company think, no, it's more like the company is like, my boss is telling me I have to fire this person and I don't want to, or I don't think I should be the person who has to do it. Let's unpack your feelings about it and see if that helps you approach it in a different way. Even if you can't change the circumstances, you can change your approach. My approach really, really is not about the cards as like a fortune telling device, but more as like a grounding device. Because I think a
It's like
lot
a
of times,
trigger. It
yeah,
like
and it can
triggers whatever's
remind
going on.
you and ground you in something that's like, if you have an image in your mind that's like, the story behind this picture is related to the story that I'm working through in my own life, then that can give you, I just keep saying grounding, but like it can ground you and give you confidence and make you feel more certain in what you're doing. And it's like that all feels like very practical. And there's something very witchy about it, which is that like the cards always somehow are like perfect for the situation. And I don't know what that's about. And I don't try to explain it. I just know that like every time I've done a reading, I pulled different cards and they're always like weirdly correct and appropriate for the situation. And I'm just like,
I'm into
thank
the
you,
witchy.
universe. I'm like, I'm just a vessel. Like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
This is my like philosophy on witchy shit in general is like, I can't explain it. I'm not going to try to explain it. It just, I know that I feel a connection to something bigger than just me sitting here in the corner of my living room. I will just listen to that and use it as it comes to me.
Everyone has, I think, an intrinsic thing that they are like wildly good at that
Hmm.
like it just like it's something that just flows out
Yeah.
of you. For me, you know what my thing is that I feel like
Hmm.
is there's alchemy involved in somehow is knowing whether someone is either like a right fit or a good or
Mm.
bad person. Like I know
Hmm.
that sounds
People
ridiculous to like
instincts.
think about that, but I feel like I have whatever that thing is that is like if you put seven people in front of me, I could be like, I want to know more about that one. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Like I'm not really sure
That's
about
so
that
funny.
person.
One of my favorite interview questions for interviewing HR people, like as a recruiter when I'm interviewing for HR roles, is what is a time when your gut told you something
You
in
call it
HR?
gut.
Like
Yep.
when did you listen to your gut, or when did you not listen to your gut? Because that I think is to me, that is sort of an intangible, you're not going to see it on a resume thing that is so important in HR is like, do you have a good HR gut? Do you
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
spidey sense for people? It's
And
so
like we can't
important.
talk about it though, right? Because like you can't
Right.
talk about it because it's so sounds
It,
so subjective and you got to be
yeah,
careful, right? Because subjectivity equals bias equals
absolutely.
discrimination equals all these things.
Absolutely.
But there is something there that
And
like
it's not
you
always
have
about
to
people.
listen to.
Sometimes it's about
Always.
process or
Yeah,
systems or like,
always.
I just felt like something wasn't right. And it turns out it wasn't.
And you poke
And
at
like,
it,
I want
right?
to
Like I can
know,
make you a good HR
right,
person, right? Like are the ones who are
right,
like, no one told me to investigate this, but I had a
exactly.
feeling something. And
Right.
you know what else it does for me too is the knowing when I need to check in on somebody too. And I
Yeah.
think like there's HR people
Yeah.
that are very process driven. I am too, I guess mostly. But like I would say what I am as an HR person is someone who like my gut is telling me that something I haven't heard from this person in a long time. I need to check in with
Hmm.
makes it very useful for remote work too,
Right.
right? Because you're not always
Yeah.
around people.
Right.
You're like, wait a minute, something in my spidey sense is telling me
Yeah.
I've stopped. I've been
You
correct.
know, and on that note about subjectivity and bias, like it's not like you're taking this intuition and acting on it immediately and making decisions. It's the intuition that tells you like I need to look a little, and like sometimes you look into it and there's nothing there. You're like, okay, well, what was that weird feeling about then? I don't know, maybe it was something else. And that's sometimes when I'll be like, I'll pull the cards and be like, is there other stuff going on that I like need to think about? But most of the time, it's because the spidey sense is telling me like something's not quite right, and then I look into it and I learn more about the situation. And then it's that the combination of intuition and curiosity, approaching the investigation or the looking into it or whatever with openness and with empathy and with curiosity, not like going into it with an accusatory mindset.
Can we do like a tarot reading? Like
Yeah.
I'm happy to like bleed myself open for whoever see what this looks like
Sure.
emotionally. And then you can do like a little tarot and we'll do it together. We'll
I
do
would
it.
love that.
That would be so
Absolutely.
fun. I am so excited, but also my stomach just growled. This is the moment where we like awkwardly shift ourselves into snacks. So tell me a little bit about like your snacking habits. Tell me what you brought with you.
I have some leftover chocolate orange from Christmas.
Oh,
Um,
I hate those. My dad used to give
oh
them
my
to
God,
me
I
when I was a
love
kid.
them. I
And I'm like,
love
why did
them.
anyone decide to put chocolate with orange? And
Oh
he
my
like,
gosh, I
I didn't
love it.
tell
I
him.
love it so much. But the other important snack that I have with me is toast with cream cheese that my son didn't finish eating for breakfast.
Love. Okay.
I also brought for myself my own sourdough bread with cream cheese because there's a funny story, which is that when I was pregnant with my daughter, for literally the first 3 months of my pregnancy, the only thing I could eat was sourdough bread with cream cheese. To the
That is
point
such
that I
a
called my
weird.
doctor and I was like, am I going to hurt this baby if I don't eat a vegetable or like a protein? And she's like, take your vitamin, like you're getting food inside of you, that's what matters. But literally for 3 months, I remember in that 3 month period I took pictures of the times when I was able to eat something that wasn't sourdough bread with cream cheese, and it was like I had grapes today, I had
Wow.
cake today. Yeah, so I brought my, because it's breakfast time, usually like my snacking habits are I snack all the time, and usually I want like trail mix that has fruit and chocolate in it, I
Yes.
want pretzels, and I want chocolate, and I want sweet and salty all day
Sweet and
long. Like I am
salty.
not a healthy snacker at all.
Yes.
But I love doing like a mid-afternoon ice cream sundae when my kids aren't home.
Toppings. What
Love
kind?
it.
Where are we going?
Toppings, we're
Caramel?
talking either my mother-in-law's homemade chocolate fudge if I have some in the fridge,
Yum.
or I know she makes really good chocolate
Tell
fudge and
her,
gives
are you
us
out there
tons.
listening? I don't know what her name is, but make some, please.
Or I go like high school style magic shell, hardening chocolate shell
Oh, yeah.
stuff,
I'm
which
not an
like
ice cream fan.
I am a huge ice cream fan. I grew up in an ice cream family. Like,
I
oh my
am
God, I
the
love it.
opposite. I need like a constant variety of choice, alternating different desserts, whatever the like
I
dessert
love dessert.
charcuterie is. I need that.
Now that we're saying this out loud, our phones are probably listening. I've seen on Instagram dessert charcuterie boards.
Can we go
We
to a
should do it.
class on how to do that?
That would be so fun.
Okay, so next, this is my fun extra. This is a bonus question.
Okay.
Tell me about your weird food aversions, childhood traumas to food, and things that you like absolutely will not eat.
I have almost no food aversions and no childhood food trauma except for being a girl in the 90s. I will not eat grape flavored things. I love grapes, but
Okay,
grape
fair enough.
popsicles, grape candies, grape jelly, like there is a one childhood trauma associated with that actually, but it did not inform the aversion. I had the aversion already
Grape jelly
and I was
trauma? That's
ugh,
amazing.
I had the aversion already and I was at the grocery store with my mom. I must have been like 6 or so. And I stole a grape from the display. I was like, we were walking by and I was like,
Wait,
I'm
aren't you
going to eat a
allowed to do that?
grape.
Because I know that my mom does
I'm
that.
sure you are.
Okay.
Probably, but I felt like I was being naughty. And I put it in my mouth and it was a Concord grape. And I thought it was just a
Are
regular
those
red
the black
grape.
ones that are like dark?
Those are the ones that are the grape jelly flavored ones.
Oh.
And I put it in my mouth and I was like, oh God, I'm being punished.
No,
I
we went
love
out with
food.
the like really natural jellies and peanut butters and stuff, and all my kids want to eat is like Jif and the Smucker's crap grape
I
jelly.
don't even keep grape jelly in the house because I don't like the smell of it.
I feel like it's always the thing that's left at the restaurant. Like everyone took all the
If you have
berries.
strawberry and you have orange marmalade, why would you choose grape?
Right.
Ew.
But I mean, also, like, why would you choose anything but strawberry? Kind of my personal take. In terms of weird things that you do eat that other people don't or put together, like combinations of food or things that you put together, tell me about that.
I mean, none of them seem weird to me, so
Well, that's what I'm saying. Well, I mean, like, I eat
nothing
carrots
like,
with peanut butter. Like, that's kind of a weird.
ooh,
Have you ever had carrots dipped in peanut butter?
no.
Go try it.
Apples dipped in peanut butter, yes, but I haven't done
Delicious.
carrots.
Delicious.
Awesome. I don't
Weird.
know that I have anything weird. I know that there's a family legend from when I was a child that I'm thinking back to what house we lived in. I was probably like 7 or 8. So gross to me now. I would take a dill pickle and dip it in mixed berry yogurt. And now I'm like, what was I
I
doing?
literally
But I
felt like the
remember liking it.
bile came up in my
Yeah.
throat, just like with the
It's
image of
like
like what that could have
I
possibly tasted
I would
like.
think my family is trolling me, but I remember doing that and thinking it was good.
I used to
Now,
put orange juice
no.
in my oatmeal. I used to like pour a
Oh,
little
that's
orange juice in
interesting.
my oatmeal, and it already
Mm,
had milk in it though, so that's
yeah.
weirder.
That is
I just
orange
thought it was
juice and
weird.
milk do not, I
I
feel like
have
there's a
never
chemical
thought
reaction
about that for
there.
like 20 years, and I'm like remembering it all of a sudden that like I used to do that. So weird. So thank you so much for coming. This was amazing. Give me a quick like where do we find you? What can we call you for? How do we find you?
You can find me at patchworkportfolio.com. That's my website, or
Great
on
name.
LinkedIn. I'm thank you, very findable on LinkedIn. And yeah, the work I'm excited about is storytelling in companies. HR storytelling is what I've been calling it lately. And culture and values work and any sort of communications stuff you're stuck on. If this manic vibe seemed good to you, hit me
I
up.
love this is what this is my vibe. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Vibe is like my all day this is just normal for me. But this is amazing.
Yes.
Like we got some good information. We talked about some cool snacks. We
Yeah.
found out our next
I
adventure.
love it.
Everyone looking for part two. People are like, no, no more. We
No,
don't care. We're gonna
stop
do it
talking.
anyway. It's all good. Too much talking.
Yes.
But good talking. Maybe we'll turn this into 2 episodes. We'll have to break up the snacks. Anyway, I
Oh
digress.
my gosh.
Thank you so much for joining us. Everybody, thank you so much
Thank you
for
for
joining
having me.
for Career Hacks and Snacks. I'm super excited to do part two soon, eat some dessert charcuterie, drink some wine,
Yes.
potentially be even more interesting than we already were. So get my
Hard
tarot,
to say.
feel my feelings
Yes.
openly for the whole
I
world.
love it.
The
I
whole
love
world
it.
watches this. Thank you so much. Take care, everybody.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.